So you guys have been asking for it. It's time for the review, a real world test, if you will, for someone who is a relative novice to the car care world. Today's review is all about the first of the products I would use in Turtle Wax's new Hybrid Solutions ceramic line. This is their ceramic polish and wax. So if you didn't watch my overview and unboxing video of the Hybrid Solutions big huge box that they sent me, thank you again Turtle Wax for sending it to me. Very quick overview of this. This is a polish, but it seems to be more marketed towards the enthusiast or the professional, not just the novice. I mean, novices would pick up things like Finesse, Tripple, AutoGlym, Super Resin polish. They're good all-in-one products. They have a very small amount of cut, which is designed to get rid of your oxidation, and very finest of like swirl marks and scratching, but really not much aggressiveness in the abrasives. They have fillers designed to go into some of the scratches and swirls that cannot be removed by the abrasives, and then they have a wax at the end of it to help protect those fillers and to give you some shine and gloss and some nice water beading on the paint, so you get a little bit of protection. So it's an all-in-one product. So this, they say, is a one-step, an all-in-one product as well, though it doesn't really have much in the way of dedicated fillers. It simply has synthetic wax polymers in it, which are, well, waxes can do some filling. I know someone reached out and said waxes don't fill. They do fill, just not as much as something like resins and some other filler media. But it does have a small amount of filling ability. But what is interesting about this is the abrasives in this are far more aggressive than you'll find in many other retail level products. Now the abrasives in this, for those of you who want to know, they are aluminium oxide and they are platelets, so they are flat discs of abrasives rather than kind of balls of abrasives that you would usually find in many other polishes. That means a couple of things. It means it can be used by hand. It won't get you much cut though. You'd really have to work it very hard to try and get some cut, but it will help you remove some of the oxidation on your paint, the very lightest of marks. But if you are looking for paint correction, and that is something that they mention on the bottle here, I should point that out, if we can get that into focus. Amazing paint correction. That's very interesting, because paint correction is exactly that. It's removing defects from your paint, meaning scratches and swirl marks. It's actually using the abrasives to cut the paint and get rid of them, as opposed to more masking them with many other products. So this has more aggressive abrasives, and also the wax polymers, the wax that's in here is also, it has infused ceramic options. Super hydrophobic and SiO2 polymers give that protection to the paint, and apparently this is a much more discernible protection than you would find on some of the others. It's meant to last longer because it's a ceramic wax as opposed to perhaps a natural or regular synthetic wax. It's got very high hydrophobic properties here. It's also very chemical resistant. You can use it by hand, and if you're using it by hand, well, this is the American bottle. I'm not sure how it says it. It says apply 3 dime-sized drops to an applicator pad. I don't know how big a dime is. I guess I'm gonna have to go and Google that. And then work it over a 2x2 foot section on your paint. Work it in circles, moderate pressure, overlapping circular motion. Then remove the excess with a, this is interesting, should point this out. Remove the excess with a microfiber cloth, turning to a clean side for the final wipe. Then use a damp microfiber to remove high spots and activate shine polymers. Interesting. Re-wipe with a dry microfiber cloth if necessary. So this is a little bit more involved. They've got that extra kind of damp wipe to consider. Then of course you can use it by machine polisher. I'm going to be trying both on the bonnet of my car today. Use 4 dime-sized drops, whatever they are, onto a medium foam buffing pad. I'll go with a medium polishing pad that I have. A turn it to a low speed to spread it across the panel, then high, okay, then high speed, using light to moderate pressure in a crosshatch pattern, so up and down, side to side. Then remove with a microfiber, then use a damp microfiber to remove the high spots and then enhance, activate those shine polymers, and then re-wipe with a dry microfiber. So it's going with that damp option again. Now I did see on Pan the Organizer's video, he attended the launch of this, and the chap that was showing the polish, he sprayed water onto the paint. Something that should be noted, which is way down the instructions, for those of you who don't read the full back of the label, do make sure about this, but it says that once you've applied this, make sure, first of all, it's not for use on rubber, vinyl or matte finishes, so keep that in mind. Allow it to cure for 24 hours before washing or applying any additional wax or coating, including their spray coating. So you gotta let this cure for 24 hours. That again tells me that this is a far more high-end, high hydrophobic, high chemical resistance polymer. The ceramic wax that's in here seems to need to cure, and therefore, I mean, you don't see that really mentioned on other all-in-one polishes, so that does tell me that this has got a lot more going on in it. Anyway, let's cut to the chase. I'm going to take you across to the bonnet of the car. We're going to apply it or work it on one section by hand and the other section by a dual action machine polisher. Alright, so I've got two sections taped off here. Is it perfect or straight? No, but does it matter? Not really. So over on this section here, yeah, there we go. This bit here is going to be the hand applied side. This side is going to be, or this section here will be the machine polisher applied side. That section will have nothing on it as a control section, so we can see what the difference is like. So I googled what size a US dime is, and it's a bit smaller than a 10-pence piece. It also says to apply it onto a foam applicator, so I got a well-used foam applicator here. So 3 smaller than 10-pence piece sized blobs. I'm gonna go with that. 3? Really? That's quite a... Ooh, okay. It's actually runnier than I envisioned it to be. It is kind of... Ooh, it's runny like a mousse. Smells good though. Does smell polishy. They say it's got that kind of mango scent. But it smells nice. You can definitely smell the sweetness in it, which is good. So let's go ahead and apply this. Now you'll have to excuse the voiceover quality, but I'm full of the cold right now. Anyway, using this by hand, you can see it's easy to spread, it's easy to apply using this soft foam applicator. It's a relatively runny product, but it does spread out nice and easily, quite smooth. This does also remind me of how much I hate polishing by hand. Now following the directions here, you can see what I'm doing is removing most of the polish residue, but not all of it, because now I've got a fine mist spray of water on there, and then I'm using the short side of the towel to pick up and remove some of that, and then over to the plush side for a final buff, and you can really see the shine and gloss, and you can feel a slickness under the towel. Tapping out the product there, spreading it with the machine. This is using a soft polishing pad, and then I'm going to work it relatively slowly, not super slow but not super fast. One thing, however, is because the polish is so runny, and I've most likely well over applicated this and applied far too much to the pad, that there was some sling. You'll see it at the sides later, and I really did sling a bunch of this polish across the panel, working it at around speed 4 on the polisher, but I'm getting an even coverage here, usually a 50% overlap across each side, each direction, to make sure it's got a good coverage across the panel. And you can see it looks wet. It looks as if some water has got in there. It is just a runnier product, but it is far too much product. There is the sling I was talking about, and that's managed to get onto both sides of the panel. So the hand polished side and the unpolished side have both had some sling there, and I've let it sit there for a couple of minutes before going ahead and removing the product. The same as before, removing as much product as possible, but leaving just the last bit there. You can feel it a little bit more grippy
when the polish is there, and as soon as you apply water to it, it becomes super slick and much easier to remove. That little bit of water, that spritz of water, really makes a massive difference. Here you can see I've removed the tape, and the tape lines for the machine polished section are far more defined. You can see there the left line is a sharper, darker line than the right line, and that's because there was a little bit of over application going across the tape, but also I was wiping across that section and also picking up some of the sprayed over product, the overspray slung extra polish. Great reflection here though. You can definitely see a difference in the color of the paint. It's a darker, sharper paint, so there's been something added to the paint. It's also been cleaned up very nicely. But you can see the tape line there on the left hand side of that tape line. It's less defined, and that was where I was using my hand polishing technique. And the right side was the machine polishing, so there is more going on with the right side than with the left side, though the left side still does look almost as good. Even a reflection of the birds there, just perfect timing. Now, water behavior testing, you can see the hand applied side, it's got very nice beading on it. This is with a fine mist of water, and even the beads have beads. There are small water bubbles sitting inside those beads. What was interesting was that when I buffed off and removed the excess product from the right hand side, it actually had left behind some protection. And I found that very, very interesting. I had wiped over and picked up all the polish that had been slung, and it had actually left behind some of that wax, that ceramic wax, on the right hand side. Now, none of this panel had any kind of protection on it whatsoever before, but now even the right hand side, which has not been polished, it's only been wiped over, it's got some protection on it, which is very interesting. The middle section sheets and beads water faster. The left section also sheets and beads at a pretty good speed. They're not perfectly uniform beads, but they're not bad. It is definitely laying down some real protection here. So as you can see, this section had not been polished at all. I was trying to flood the panel there, and it was very slowly sheeting the water off, but it was still working. It was actually sheeting. This is trying to flood the center section, which was machine polished. You can see that water is almost gone compared to the right side. And then the left side, this was hand application, again getting rid of its water very quickly indeed. Then to try and show the difference here, stupid me, I started one and then started the other, so we'll go across and actually flood as much of both sections as possible, try and get an equal amount of water, and then allow them to sheet. And as you can see, they're pretty much identical for the speed that they sheet the water compared to this section, but definitely there is some protection. For comparison, this wing has had nothing on it, no polish, no protection, nothing at all, and as you can see, it floods very quickly. It holds on to the water for a long time. It will sheet that water slowly because it's a vertical panel, but not as quickly as the panel, the bonnet here. So there is definite protection across the entire panel.
So, first impressions. This is really weird. First of all, it's a very runny product compared to the Auto Finesse and AutoGlym offerings. They are thicker products. Well, maybe not so much the Auto Finesse, but AutoGlym Super Resin Polish is a thicker product, and yet it doesn't leave as much protection behind as this. Doesn't have as much cut. I managed to achieve a good difference there by hand, and a better difference by machine. So if you have a machine polisher and you want to take advantage of that cut and apply good protection, this is great. Like I say, very runny, very interesting. It was a very wet application of product. It did look like there was water in it, and I gave this a really, really good shake. but it is just a runnier product. So keep that in mind. Make sure you try not to sling it too far. I think maybe I possibly, like I said, overloaded the pad a bit there. I could have gone less on the product. Less product on the pad, sorry. But still, it was very easy to remove using that water, the spray of water onto the panel, or using a damp microfiber just to remove that final bit of polish really did help. Also, it did give that shine to it. Now, I can't tell you how much of a shine would have been different if I had just polished it back, if I had just buffed it back dry and not made it wet. But making it wet was easier, and they do say that there is some sort of reaction happens when you get it wet. So that's got something to do with the ceramics or something, I don't know. But this worked well. It was easy to use. It was nice to use because it smelled good. While I was working it both by hand and with a machine polisher, I could smell the fragrance, the mango-y, whatever the hell the scent is. I could smell it. It was nice. It was enjoyable. And it was easy to work, and it gave proper protection at the end of it. So this is your base coat. Like I mentioned, I would use this first on your car. Make sure that your panels are absolutely perfectly clean and have no protection on them whatsoever. Make sure that they're completely clear of everything, so that's a proper wash and a proper decontamination. This bonnet has had that, so there's nothing else on there, but it's not a perfect job, and I'm not trying to get perfection. So it shows you're getting great results there, and this lays down a foundation layer of that protection for the next product, which would be the spray coating. Now I have to wait 24 hours for this to cure onto the bonnet to make sure that it's there properly. So what I'll do now is I'll go and dry that panel, I'll leave it overnight, I'll come back to it tomorrow, and if the weather allows me to, I will apply the spray coating, and we'll see how that works on the sections which have been prepared with the polish, and also sections which have had no protection, no preparation whatsoever. Because like I say, people will buy this because it's got the Turtle Wax name on it and assume that novices can go ahead and use it. So I'm going to use it kind of like an enthusiast that I am on one side, and kind of like a novice on the other side, and just see how it works. So make sure if you want to find those videos, if you found this useful, make sure you smash the like button, and if you're new here, subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell so you don't miss my next video uploads, especially when it comes to the new products of this range. In the meantime, thank you very much for watching. I've been Specky. I will see you in the next video.